What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of NBA to the Galaxy podcast, featuring your hosts. To my right, Slimothy Jones, otherwise known as Slim. You can find him on X at RTR30111. I am the other co-host of the show here. You can find me at Scotty Drowned. And of course, be sure to follow NBA to the Galaxy pod on X, on TikTok, and of course, hit the subscribe button on the YouTube channel. You can find us on X at To the Galaxy Pod, and it is the same on TikTok, Slim. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah. To the Galaxy.
Same exact hashtag or same exact at name on TikTok as well, at To the Galaxy Pod. So be sure to follow us on both platforms and hit the subscribe button. That's the most important part. We want to grow on YouTube. We want to see you guys commenting in the show. We want to get you guys' ideas involved in the show. That's what this is all about. What we're going to get into in the show today, if you guys looked, you guys saw the thumbnail. Mike Malone, Denver, the GM, right? Booth, I believe it is.
Yeah,
the
Booth,
GM. Yeah. He's out of there. They clean house basically a week before the postseason starts. They're in the middle of a 4-game skid. There's a lot going on in Denver. We're going to talk about the Hall of Fame class of 2025 a little bit more. Some other members. We talked about Melo a little bit, but there's some other members that are pretty interesting as well, man. Billy Donovan, Dwight Howard.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple more that are going to be
Sue Bird.
Sue Bird from the WNBA side as well.
Yeah.
Absolute legends, right? So that'll be fun to talk about. And then we're just going to get into some playoff talk as we approach the postseason. It's getting realer and realer. Seeding starting to lock up. We're gonna start seeing more finalized matchups as the week goes on. As we look at the postseason, hoping to be back here with you guys later this week as well, as those matchups start to solidify. But all that being said, Slim, before we get into this Denver drama, what's good with you? How you feeling on this fine Tuesday, my man?
Feeling good, man. Can't wait to discuss these topics that you came up with. Definitely can't complain, man. It's always a great thing when we link up and do this. So yeah, man, doing great.
We did get blessed. We got blessed on a Tuesday.
I know, right?
with drama, like, because it makes it just so much more interesting. Like, yes, it's fun to talk about like the postseason seeding and all of that. We're gonna get into that, but the drama is the fun stuff, the hypotheticals, the actual discussion. So let's get right into it, man. Where are you at with this Denver situation? Did this catch you off guard? We're on a scale of 1 to 10. How much did this catch you off guard?
I would definitely say 10, man. Like, I think for me, what
more than Luka.
Ooh, nah, Luka
more. Yeah, I feel that.
Luka on there, yeah, Luka on there for sure. But like I say, like what really caught me on guard the most with the whole situation is how they went about it. Like, it's not the fact that you just fire him; it's like you fire him a week before the postseason. Like, that's just kind of, I wouldn't necessarily say unheard of, but it's like you don't just see that quite often nowadays. The Grizzlies just did it last week, but
that's weird too.
For the Nuggets to kind of follow up behind them and do that to their head coach is just kind of strange to me. And man, with Michael Malone, like he's won the most games in Denver Nuggets franchise, and it's like they're the 4th seed in the lower Western Conference. When I look at the options out there, I don't see a better option than Mike Malone. I feel like at this point, the Grizz and the Nuggets could have just swapped head coaches. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like it's kind of crazy, man.
It is, and I think Malone more than the GM is surprising, because from Denver's standpoint, you could point the finger at the GM and say you've let guys walk out the door and you have not replaced them properly from that championship team a few years ago, right? There were grumblings. Obviously, Jokic is the best, one of the best players in the world right now. There's always going to be a window for Denver, but it just feels like they're kind of gravitating from that championship caliber team in a sense. Even though Jokic is like elevating his play, it's like everything around him is going downhill, and that's why he's maybe having these extreme numbers, having to go out and give efforts like that. But to your point about him being the most winningest coach in Denver history, apparently I was just reading he has the most wins over the last 5 seasons amongst all head coaches right now. So it just speaks to where he's at as far as like head coach status. And just looking back at that 2023 championship team, that team, like, yes, it was led by Jokic, don't get me wrong, and like you have Murray, you have the other guys involved in it, but it felt like they took on the persona of their head coach. Like, he was very vocal and outspoken
Oh
throughout
yeah,
that playoff run, and once they
yeah,
won, and now he's just like kicked to the curb. Like, that's just crazy to me, bro. Like, 2 years later,
yeah.
to
Like,
your point, maybe you do it this off season because
yeah.
it's now become, just too cloudy in the partnerships, right? And you just have to cut ties.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the season, that's like very drastic. Like, let me
Mm-hmm.
ask you this. Do they even have a chance in the postseason at all? Like, without their head coach? Like, let me ask it the other way. Are they complete? Are they done this season? Is this season over for Denver?
I wouldn't say it's over because they got the Joker over there. He's quite good enough to win you a series by himself. He's just
That's
that
fair.
good. So
That is fair.
I wouldn't say that it's over. But to your point, though, man, like when I was thinking about this,
Yeah.
I just came up with two reasons on why they could do this. One, if they were to fall short during this postseason run or whatever, I just felt like maybe they didn't want Mike Malone to be the scapegoat, so they just went ahead and got rid of him. That and then also like maybe like to fire not only him and the GM, maybe something went on behind the scenes that we just don't simply know about.
Yeah.
Like those are kind of like the two logical reasons I could think of, to do this, a week before the postseason. But any other reason, man, I just don't see it happening.
I
But
was
yeah.
I was reading right before we got on here this article in ESPN about it, and
Mhm.
apparently there was beef between the GM and Mike Malone, and it turned into what they like, quote unquote, the Cold War. Like, they just weren't able to work together or get anything done together. And
Mhm.
it's obviously from Mike Malone losing key pieces to his championship team that are no longer filled, right? Like, there's nobody that took KCP's role. KCP is not great on Orlando. It doesn't mean that you needed to bring KCP back. It just
Mhm.
means you needed to properly replace him in his output.
Yeah.
And that's just something that Denver, it appears they failed to do. I know there's guys that are a little bit younger that have come on for them, but it's just interesting, man. Because I thought, like, at first I'm like, was there something between like Jokic and the way they're playing stylistically
Mhm.
that he wasn't like it? Because who else would have power like that on that team? Like, Jokic is the only guy that could get the head coach fired. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a fact. Yeah, that's a fact. And they also like it's just so crazy to think that this team literally just won a championship 2 seasons ago.
Yeah,
And it's like, is it getting taken for granted? Like winning a
yeah,
championship is not easy. You know what I'm saying? And it's
yeah,
like obviously once you win, the expectation is to constantly win and win. But it's easier said than done, man. And to your point, man, you're right about like Mike Malone. Like he was very vocal during that championship run. Like you see
yeah.
him call out the Lakers during that championship parade. He say he was, they was the Lakers daddy and things of that nature. So yeah, man. But it's definitely something else to this. Maybe it gets revealed later on, maybe it don't. But it's definitely something else to this, man.
Yeah, no, I agree. Definitely the biggest news probably since what, the Jimmy Butler trade, maybe, at the trade deadline. Like,
Mhm.
this is surprising. Well, I guess Taylor Jenkins, that was kind of
Yeah, that was
surprising as
different. Yeah,
well. That was kind of surprising.
because he had I think he had the most wins in Grizzly franchise history as well. So
Yeah, that would make
yeah,
sense.
so the assistant coach will be stepping up, right?
Yeah,
To
that's what I
fill
was
Mike.
reading.
Okay.
That's what I was reading. So maybe they don't change stylistically. Maybe they can still kind of play the
Mhm.
same
Yeah.
moving forward. I guess we'll see, man. They were on what, a 4-game skid
Yeah, 4 game losing streak, yeah.
when this happened. So, and they haven't been playing good. Like,
No, they
beyond the
haven't.
4 games, they haven't been playing good of late
It's just been
altogether.
Jokic, pretty much doing his thing. He dropped 60 points last
Yeah,
week.
and a
So,
loss.
it's him. It's
Yeah,
nobody else to just rise to the occasion. But it just makes me think like, is this the beginning of the downfall, like of the Nuggets? Like you fire your head coach, if they get bounced in the first or second round, will they trade MPJ?
Right.
Then eventually Gordon, then Murray.
Right.
Then
Jamal
what?
Murray is
Then
the
what
one.
things start to look like for the Joker? Do he want out? It's a lot of things to keep an eye on this all season, man, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, between Phoenix, Philly, now Denver, there's obviously other teams that are going to be in the mix of everything come the off season. It's crazy to think about Giannis even, right? Like there's talks about him.
Greek freak,
Milwaukee. And who knows? The T-Wolves are playing a lot better, so I'll chill on that for now. They're playing a lot better of late, but yeah, and I think the big change between now and in the past is players don't waste time as far as their careers anymore.
That's true.
In the past, you would have guys that stick it out, be loyal as ever, kind of like Dame Lillard, right? He stuck it out in Portland, probably way too long, if we're being completely honest.
Same way with Dirk, you can say that with him.
Yeah, after that championship, he just hung around 18, 17. But let's take it in another route, man. Obviously, Denver's been a little bit of drama. Billy Donovan, I mentioned him first. Just the coaching connections. Mike Malone gets fired. Billy Donovan is obviously a head coach in the NBA right now, but a lot of his accolades comes from his time in the NCAA. Has 2 NCAA championships, 502 NCAA wins, 399 NBA wins. So that's close to 900? Yeah, over 900 wins combined. And the 2020 NBCA co-coach of the year. Billy Donovan, Dwight Howard, Carmelo Anthony. You mentioned it earlier, Sue Bird. I also saw the 2008 U.S. men's Olympic team, basketball team, that is. Who else? Has anybody else been announced that I'm forgetting?
I know some type of referee. I forgot his name, though, man.
I did see that. I saw that, too. I completely ignored it because I was just like, get out of here.
Yeah, man, a referee.
Ref going into the Hall of Fame. It's fair though. I get it though. If they put that many years into basketball, it makes sense. But
a lot of people speak highly of him.
But we talked a little bit about Melo. Let's talk about Dwight Howard. What are your thoughts there on Dwight Howard getting inducted? There was kind of I saw some mixed responses. For me, I just didn't really feel like.
It's crazy, man.
I just didn't feel like there was much argument against him being a Hall of Famer.
I mean, mixed responses, like, what's the reason? Like, he's for sure a Hall of Famer. I mean, this is a guy, by the way, that didn't make the top 75 players of all time list, which is crazy, by the way.
Yeah.
I would put him on that list over Dame, Dollar, AD. I would do that. Because I think what it is, man, like a lot of people probably just remember Dwight the last days of his career, right?
Because he went team to team, right?
He bounced around. He played for your Sixers, the Lakers. He went to Washington, Atlanta, Charlotte. He kind of bounced around. He's been around. I think he had like 2 different stints with the Lakers.
Yeah, he did.
To end his career off. So
he did.
But nonetheless, man, I think Dwight Howard is very deserving of this. When he first came into the league, man, he was one of those guys that brought that physicality to the game. Big shoulders, loud threat. I think he won 3 Defensive Player of the Year trophies or something like that. I think he even led the Magic to the finals one year, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. I think it was 09. Yep.
Hedo Turkoglu, Rashard Lewis. I think it was the Lakers.
Yep, against Kobe Lakers. Yep.
Yeah. Is that the Paul Gasol Lakers?
Yeah, I think they had Paul Gasol, Andrew Bynum, Lamar Odom.
Yeah,
Derek Fisher, all those guys. So yeah, man. Congrats to Dwight Howard, man. Very deserving of this, and I don't see what's the argument about this.
Yeah, he also has a gold medal with Team USA as well.
Yeah, the Redeem. Was it the Redeem team at 08? Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so he was part of that 08 team that I guess the whole team gets inducted as well. But
actually, Dwight is a 2-time Hall of Famer. The Orlando Magic inducted him as well this year. So
Oh, yeah, well deserved. Well deserved. Obviously, took them to the finals. As you mentioned, looks like he averaged 15.7 points per game, 11.8 rebounds, 18 seasons in the NBA as well, man. Which, to your point, like, yeah, he became a journeyman, but he started fulfilling a specific role. After Orlando, basically, where everything was centralized around him. He went on after that and became basically an elevated role player at times, and then just simply a role player to kind of finish his career. I know he brought a lot of toughness to the Sixers. Whenever he played for us for maybe it was a season and a half.
Yeah, he played for you guys for a season. Well, I gotta give him his props too. Like, he is the NBA champion. And when they matched up against the Nuggets, he did a pretty good job on the Joker, just bringing that physicality
with the Lakers, right?
Yeah, in the bubble, So.
Yeah, the bubble championship. Yep. How do you? Just while I say that, how do you feel about that?
Bro, chill out, bro. You don't want no Lakers fans coming for you, bro. Like,
I'm just asking you. Like, is there an asterisk next to that for you?
No, it's valid, bro. Like, if you think about like the times we were living in, like, you had to get those guys their props, bro. It wasn't easy, man. Those guys had to leave their families, at a time like there were a lot of people leaving this earth. So you got to commend them on that, man, for sure.
Speaking of the devil, man, like a Lakers fan.
You know what, bro? It's so
hilarious.
crazy he said that, because I got a friend that's a Lakers fan as well, and he was so excited when Mike Malone got fired. And I was like, why are you excited, bro? Like, is it that deep? Like, the Nuggets have been kicking the Lakers, for the past 2 years, right? And so they kind of salty about it. So they happy that Mike Malone got fired. It's just funny.
It's all that trash he talked after they won the chip.
The whole time been there. I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
You change the system with Jokic.
Yeah, I mean, if it ain't broke,
the system, I don't know.
If it ain't broke, why fix it?
He says the Lakers are losing by 10 tonight. Do they play tonight? Is that what he's insinuating here?
Yeah, they play. Oh, they play the Thunder again. Okay. They play the Mavericks tomorrow.
Okay.
This should be an interesting game.
He said it's not broken. Hey.
I mean, the Joker, man, he's
during the Knicks.
Getting better every season,
Yeah. They are in a bad stretch, but they're right there with the Lakers. They're right there with the Warriors, the Clippers. I mean, they're right there in the West. So, like, I don't think it's, like, broken. Like, Jamal Murray, once again, hasn't been healthy.
Yeah, he's been.
I know that's an excuse. Like, I don't know.
I think it's just they still got gaps to fill on that team, man. Like, when I look at the backup bigs on that team, like, who they got? DeAndre Jordan, Najee, I think they say Zeke Najee, Dario Saric. Like, when you get in the postseason, man, it's like you got to give the Joker some type of rest. You could probably slide Gordon down to the 5. He could play small ball 5, but he need his rest as well. So
they need a point guard.
So you don't believe in Westbrook, huh?
I'm not a Westbrook hater. Like, no, they need somebody like youthful, like somebody that can be there when Murray's injured, which is every season. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think they need to go that route.
I think they got the young guy Jalen Pickett. He's been playing for them as of late.
Yeah, they've been trying some different young guys out. It just hasn't been clicking of late. To D-Rab's point, but no, Dwight Howard. We got totally off topic there. Yeah. Dwight Howard. All respect to him for making the Hall of Fame. We can just get into the Western Conference talk at this point.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
we may as well dive into it. That's enough with the Hall of Fame. Congrats to those guys. Yeah, they're retired. They're not playing Melo this postseason. Yeah, Melo's my favorite one of them all. He was my favorite. Um, the Western Conference, man. We talking about Denver, talking about the Lakers. Got your Warriors in the mix there. The seeds 3 through 8. You text me about this morning. Brought it to my
It's
attention, man.
crazy,
There's
bro.
about 2 games in between the 3 and the 8 seed right now, or
Yeah.
the 8 seed.
Yeah.
The Memphis Grizzlies are 2 games back of the LA Lakers,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm reading this right.
Yeah, it's just that close.
Let me ask you this, man. Who's the best team in this group right now? In that group of 3 through 8? Because you got some teams that are hitting some
Mm-hmm.
good spots this season. You have Denver, who I don't think they're in the convo right now. They just fired their head coach, so maybe let's take them out. But the rest of these teams, the Clippers, the Lakers, the Warriors, the T-Wolves, we have Memphis down there. They've kind of fallen out too, or do you believe in them? Maybe Jog gets a little more freedom now. They play better.
I ain't
Nah,
really.
they're
Yeah.
cooked.
I don't see them doing that this season anyway.
Let me ask you this, because we talk about the Lakers and the Warriors a lot. We even talk about the T-Wolves. The Clippers, man. Are they like a real threat? Like how would you feel about the Warriors playing the Clippers in the postseason?
I feel like we'll beat them for sure.
How do
I
you
said,
view that in respect to the other matchups you could have? Would that be your like favorite matchup as far as like most beatable?
definitely not most beatable, but my confidence is high because I just don't believe in James Harden in the playoffs. So I'm just
Fair
keeping it a buck with you. But
Fair
I
enough.
will say this though: the Clippers they are getting overlooked. They can be a sleeper team. We all know what Kawhi Leonard can do when he's healthy. In the
Yeah,
playoff
that's
setting,
fair.
the
That's
game
fair.
slow down, half court offense. Kawhi can go out there and control the offense and get you buckets, man. And yeah, we all know he can do defensively. So I will say this: they do have great pieces around Kawhi Harden. He's been good all season. He was an All Star for a reason. Norman Powell, breakout season. Zubac, heck of a season for him as well. So this team could definitely be considered a sleeper team, nonetheless. And yeah, but my confidence would be high if we were to match up with them in a series. I'm just
Man,
going with that.
you know what my thing is with the Clippers? I forget about Kawhi Leonard like all the time.
Yeah, yeah, because this is your second. Yeah,
It
you.
it's crazy. It's crazy. But I'm looking at his numbers, bro, over the last 2 months that he's played. Now, obviously, doesn't play back to backs or certain situations he's sitting out. If he needs to rest, they're obviously not going to risk him too much. But 25 points per game, basically 26 points per game in the month of April so far. He's had 29, 20, and 28 in 3 games. And then in the month of March, 25 points per game. What is this? 7 rebounds per game and 3 assists per game with close to 2 steals per game. So he is balling. He's balling at a Kawhi level.
Yeah,
I just think it's the health, right? It's just the factor of, is he going to be there? Because I do think him with James Harden, and you have Zubac down there in the paint. Obviously Norm Powell, but it is kind of deadly when you have another star with James Harden.
I mean, it's interesting. I believe in Kawhi because he's proved it. 2 times, by the way. He's a 2-time champion, 2-time Finals MVP. So
So
you know.
do you think the Clippers could beat any of these teams in the 3 through 8 range? Like in
Oh
if
yeah,
you do, which ones?
yeah.
Like which ones would
I
you take
think
the Clippers over? Who do you think they're better than? I guess is what I'm
um,
asking.
I would take them over. I'm gonna say Minnesota. I would take them over Memphis, and yeah, that's probably it. 3 through 8. Yeah. I ain't gonna get too ahead of myself. 'Cause like I said, I don't believe in James Harden in the postseason, man. But
Fair enough.
you get the picture. But anyway, though,
Yeah.
to answer your first question,
Yeah.
who's the best team in this group right now? So we got Lakers, Clippers, Warriors, Memphis, Denver, and Minnesota, right? That's 3 through 8. I hit you with a text last night. I said I'd never seen nothing like this. At least since I've been watching the game, like I never seen how close the seedings are. Like it's just one game you could be back to the third seed. If you lose one game, you could drop down to the seventh seed. It's just that close.
Yeah.
So for me, man, like I got to be biased. My Warriors, we're the best team in this group right now. And I'm gonna tell you something, man. Like I didn't get too ahead of myself when we got Jimmy Butler, because I was like, we still got to get some pieces, in the off season, And I'm gonna say this, like I know what it looked like, and that's kind of the vibes I'm getting. Like go back to when we won a championship a few years ago in 22. That's sort of like the same vibes I'm getting. Like the way we compete on both ends, the vibes, the energy, the way guys are just playing off one another. It's just I've been here before and I know what it feels like as a fan to like, compete for a championship and ultimately win it. And that's kind of the energy I'm getting off those guys. Like, obviously I don't want to get too ahead of myself as a fan, but my confidence in these guys to win a championship is very high. I'm not gonna lie to you. So I would say my Warriors is the best team with 3 through 8 seed, man.
Interesting.
Sure.
Interesting, but I'm not surprised, man. I'm
Yeah.
not surprised by that. I do ultimately think it comes down to you guys and the Lakers ultimately. And which aging stars do you trust more come the postseason?
Yeah.
Steph Curry,
And
LeBron
also,
James.
like, I will say this, a lot of things have to work in our favor too. Like matchups, that
Yep.
definitely matters for sure. Because we are a, pretty small team. D-Rab, bro, move along, please. Anyway, we're a pretty small team, so obviously we got our, cons, but we got pros too. So.
Yeah, I don't know. D-Rab's not vibing with that. So
Yeah,
so
he'll be all
D-Rab,
right, man.
let us know
Yeah.
in the comments, man. What make the case for the Lakers here? Make the case for the Lakers as the best team
There
of
is
this
no
group.
case.
We're excluding the Rockets and OKC basically because
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
they're a little bit ahead of everybody else. I think you can argue the Rockets. Like I'm not gonna go and say that like the Rockets are guaranteed to beat. I mean, I don't think they're guaranteed to beat anybody. Quite honestly, I think they're good. Like I would take them over Memphis, but would I guarantee it? No, I wouldn't guarantee them in a
Yeah,
matchup against Memphis.
yeah, I can see it.
Minnesota right now. Minnesota, like they should, like yes, they are a better team than Minnesota this season. But Ant Edwards and they just get clicking, and they have the experience from last year going to the Western Conference Finals. You have a young Houston team, so like
Yeah,
Houston has gotten the respect. They've earned their record. They are the 2 seed for sure. But I
yeah.
still would put them in this group. Like I think
I
they
can
could
see why.
lose to the Lakers. I think they
Yeah.
could lose to the Warriors.
I can see why you would say that because this would be a lot of guys, first playoff experience like Jabbar Smith Jr., Jalen Green, Eason, Amen Thompson, Shangoon. They got like their
They do have a
key,
deep team. Yeah,
yeah, like their key guys. This would be their first, playoff run. So I can see why you
yeah,
would say that. Like they
yeah.
got veterans over there like Adams,
They do.
Brooks,
Yeah,
Fred
that's
Van
fair.
Fleet, who's been in the
Championship.
postseason. So
Yeah, that's very fair. And I don't want it to seem like I'm sleeping on Houston. Once again, I would take them over Memphis in a series. I
yeah,
just wouldn't guarantee it. And looking at
that's fair.
the matchups with Minnesota, like I would take Houston. They're a
Hmm.
better team, but I don't know. I think it would be a lot tougher
I
than
mean, I
maybe
would say this
people
though,
would think.
like if Houston were to match up with Minnesota, I think that to me the biggest downfall for Minnesota would always be Rudy Gobert. Like,
Yeah.
would they have the balls to like bench him, take him out the rotation if need be, So maybe go small, put Randall at the five, Nasri, whatever.
Yeah. That's like a organizational change. You know what I mean? That we're asking for there. So we'll
Yeah,
see. We'll see about that. But no, I think at the end of the day, it does come down to the Lakers and the Warriors for me in that group of 3 to 8.
Yeah.
I just think they're the most experienced. They do have the both sides of the ball that they can kind of rely on. I think when you look at the Lakers, obviously you have Luka. He can only get better with the Lakers, like with the way he's playing and where he's at. LeBron's playing at an elite level. Austin Reeves playing at an elite level. And you have guys like Rui and other guys chipping in here and there. And they get it done on the defensive side of things. You go to the Warriors, it's very similar. They got a lot of two-way guys. You have the experience with Steph and Draymond, and you have hungry guys like Jimmy coming in and joining the squad. You got youth, Pods and Kuminga, Moody. So I do think those two teams stick out from the rest. I still would put Denver in there just with Jokic, and it's just such a. I'm not the biggest Jokic guy, I'm not, but like he is such a mismatch that it just creates a headache for a 7-game series. Like, what are you going to do to stop him?
Yeah, he's a problem. Like he's just like he's good enough to win a series alone. Like we just played them Friday, and man, he was serving us like how you want it, backing you down, shooting over the top of you. And it's like, what you going to do? Like, me, like, I would just stay home. Don't double because he's going to then show his biggest strength, which is passing the ball.
Yeah.
So you can't, like, double him. You're going to have to let him give you 50, 60.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden you're going to see playoff Murray. Right? Like, that's just
MPJ knocking down timely shots.
Right.
Aaron Gordon being that lob threat, knocking down corner threes.
Doing all the little things, the connector. Yeah, maybe they play with more freedom now. Like, I don't know what the issue was in Denver.
Mm-hmm.
There was obviously something going on behind the scenes. But I do think there's still a team. Because as much as I say Lakers and Warriors out of that group, if they matched up with Denver, that's a really tough matchup for those two teams specifically. Like that, if I was you, like, and you can answer from your perspective, obviously, but if I was you, I think that would be my least favorable matchup out of this group of teams in 3 through 8. What would you say? Who would you say?
You say least favorable matchup, right?
Like the one you would least want.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, because Jokic, he's just that good, man. It's, like me and you had this talk before. The thing is with a guy like Jokic, and this is why I got to get AD his props.
Yeah.
Like in the Western Conference, when you look at the front courts, right, it ain't a lot of guys that can wear Jokic out defensively, and he just kind of gets a pass, where he, getting his energy back or whatever. So that way, when he come back down on the offensive, he can just keep torturing you. Whereas until like when they matched up against the Lakers, like AD was giving Jokic that work.
Giving him work.
He really was. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
the Lakers
don't want the Lakers need a D-Rab, so
that is the counter to your point. That's how you beat Jokic, is you make him work on the defensive end, to your point. And I guess guys, who do you think steps up in that situation? Like who would have to step up for the Warriors in a matchup with the Nuggets against Jokic specifically? Like who's the guy that comes to mind for you? Or is it just going to be double teams, multiple looks? Is that type of situation?
Yeah, I think it would be a multiple looks, but I'm not going to lie. Like, I would rather Jokic give Draymond 70 than allow him to get others involved. Like, I can live with Jokic beating us while scoring 70 points. I can live with that. But for him to, like, have, 15 assists, 12 assists, I'm not rocking with that. So I would just say stay home. But to answer your first question, like, who needs to step up, I think it has to be Jimmy, man. Like, I'm not going to lie. Like, Jimmy has been awesome for us. He's been great, terrific. But he has become too passive as of late. Like, he hasn't just been aggressive. Like, maybe we see this in the postseason. He has a nickname Playoff Jimmy for a reason. So, but I kind of catch him being too passive at times. So hopefully he addressed that. Before we.
What my worry for Jimmy against the Nuggets. I'm thinking back to the NBA Finals 2 years ago when the Nuggets won.
Mhm.
And if I'm remembering correctly, obviously it was a team matchup, but was it Aaron Gordon that guarded Jimmy? Is that the matchup? Am I remembering it correctly, or did somebody
I,
else guard Jimmy?
I think it was like a KCP and Gordon assignment, honestly.
The reason I asked, I remember Jimmy having like a lot of trouble against that Denver unit. Now
Yeah,
you're with Steph now. Things have
yeah,
changed a lot from that Miami Heat team that he like dragged to the NBA Finals 2 years
yeah.
ago.
That's what I was going to say. But to his point, I think he was just burnt out, like
Yeah,
because
fair. He was
that team
exhausted.
had no business being in the NBA Finals, dog. Like,
Yeah,
I'm just keeping it a buck with you. I think he
yeah.
was just burnt out because, Caleb Martin, Max Strus, Duncan Robinson, Gabe Vincent, they was coming back down to earth as well. So, like Bam, he had a pretty good series,
He did.
against the Nuggets. But like I say, all those role players, they came back
They
down
had
to
the
earth.
Max Struces. Yeah,
Yeah, they came back down to earth, man.
yeah. They
Yeah,
were riding them boys to the
yeah, man.
all the
It was
way,
crazy.
bro. That shit was crazy.
Caleb Martin was killing the Celtics in the
Yo, he
conference
had that
finals.
crazy, and he got a whole contract off that
He was
series.
killing the Celtics, bro. Like, oh my god,
D-Rab said the Warriors are like 1-10
come on, bro.
in their last 11, but he also added that the Lakers are 3-7 in their last 10 against the Nuggets.
But
So
hold up, though.
neither of
Let's
y'all fare well against
well, let's
them.
okay, but let's say what's the record with the Lakers versus the Nuggets when it matters the most? They got swept a few years ago. I think they may have won one game last postseason. So you get what I'm trying to say here. The regular
Yeah,
season, we
I
ain't worried
feel
about the
you.
regular season.
I
We ain't
feel
worried
you.
about
I
that.
feel you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see Draymond stepping up to the plate and like taking that assignment and just sticking his chest out and dealing
Yeah.
with it.
I need Paul Mo to
Um,
step up, man.
D-Rab said Jimmy does play to the occasion. Yeah. He said win a series. I just
Might
just
win the
one though.
series.
Just
Come
one
on,
though.
D-Rail. Like, bro, I thought it was better than that. You know what? Here's what I say about the Lakers
Yeah.
real quick.
Yeah.
When their number one problem is going to be Luka defensively because he has a target on him. Like, bro, they don't have the luxury of having a guy like Anthony Davis to cover for Luka. It's Jackson Hayes back there, and with all due respect, like, I like my chances going up to the rim, and Jackson Hayes is your rim protector. So, you know,
D-Rab said Draymond fouling out. He might foul out
yeah,
if he's playing real
yeah,
hard.
whatever, whatever.
Nah, you spot on though, man. I do agree nonetheless. But I'm just looking at I'm looking across this Western Conference, bro, and like honestly, it's almost like if you get out of the first round, you can beat anybody. Do you know what I mean by that? Like the matchups are going to be so crazy just in the first round that you're going to play, excuse me, a similar team, like a similar caliber team in the second
Yeah.
round outside of OKC, basically.
Yeah, like I say this, like also I agree with that, but also to add to that, I'm not gonna lie, like obviously OKC is a lot of people's favorites, but I think the West is wide open, bro. Like, because the way I view it is, okay, when you look at the play-in teams in the Western Conference, if you move those guys over to the Eastern Conference, they will be playoff teams.
Yeah.
That just go to show you how great the Western Conference is, how loaded it is. And then when you look at what we discussing now, 3 through 8, maybe like all these teams, has a chance. It's just matchup dependent, like who they get matched up against.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just the West is wide open, man. So,
Yeah.
it
No,
really is.
that's fair. That's a fair way to look at it. OKC, man. We're gonna see. We're gonna see this season because this is the year where they should take care of business, get to the NBA Finals. Like they should. 64, a 65 plus win team they're gonna end up being. they should get
Experience
to the
matters.
NBA Finals.
Experience matters for sure.
It does, though.
It does.
So let me ask you this, man. Looking across the NBA as a whole right now, as we kind of end the show out here, top 5 postseason matchups you would like to see across the league. What are you thinking there? If you want me to go first, we can go back and forth.
Yeah, we go back and
5,
forth.
4
Sure.
like that. Yeah, I'll give you my number 5 because I think it's a little surprising. But I would kind of like to see Detroit and Indiana play in the first round in the Eastern Conference, man. I feel like they're like very like similar teams in a sense, like very like deep. They have a lot of different options that they can go to in all different positions. They're both young. They both have the star. You can argue that Cade has now elevated himself past Halliburton, but Halliburton is still a star in the league. They're just very similar to me in a sense. It almost feels like the Pistons could be like what the Pacers were last year.
Yeah, I feel you on that. Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like the number 5 matchup for me that I would like to see the most. I'll tell you this: that's the only matchup in the Eastern Conference that made my top 5.
Yeah, I was going to say, since you did East, I'm gonna switch over to the West.
Yeah,
for me, man, I would like to see Minnesota and Houston. Like that would be, to me, that would be a good first round matchup. Like, the trash talking between Dylan Brooks and Anthony Edwards. Like this Jalen Green first playoff run. It's a lot of drama involved in that series for sure. Şengün, Gobert. It'll be interesting nonetheless. So I feel like that'll be a good first round matchup for sure.
So that's Cat not making finals. Yeah, I don't know why he said that. Just a random shot at Karl Anthony Towns.
I was going to say, why Cat catching strays like this, bro?
But D-Rap, we're just talking first round. We're not talking finals, nothing like that. Matchups for the first round. That's it.
It's like, like basically like a predicament. Like,
I don't know why Cat just caught a stray.
Yeah, top 5 matchups we want to see in the first round in the postseason.
Yeah, exactly. No way Detroit and Indiana would be in there if it wasn't that. He said he don't care.
What we want to see, bringing the popcorn out.
Yeah, exactly. He's talking finals. He doesn't care. D-Rap's going wild in the comments, but no, I do like the pick nonetheless, man. I'll go a different Minnesota matchup first round. Minnesota and LA. That came in number 4 for me. LA Lakers, I'm talking about here. And just seeing Ant Edwards go at it with Luka again, get that like NBA or Western Conference Finals rematch between those two specifically. But you also obviously have LeBron. You have that whole star show in the mix. Former Laker Julius Randle going against his old team. So I think that could be a very interesting series out west, man.
Yeah, for sure. And to me, man, I like it though. I like it. I'm gonna switch now to the East though. Let me see the Pistons and the Knicks.
Woo!
To me, I would like to see that star power. Brunson versus Cade.
Good matchup.
And I would like to see, Cat and, just Cat show us that, I soft. Isaiah Stewart, he's going to try to get in your head, get physical. So I'd like to see that, it should be a good matchup for sure. I won't say they match up perfectly, but they match up pretty well, I'd say. So that should definitely be entertaining.
Who wins the matchup between Cade and Brunson?
Ooh. I'm gonna go Cade, man. Cade been balling, man. Gotta show some love. He been balling.
He says he can be the best player in the NBA. Not right now, but in the future, he feels that he can be the best. And
yeah, I think that comment. Yeah.
The question I would raise, and it's not that I agree with him, it's not that I think that he will be the best. Why can't he? It would be my question. That's it. That's my only question about it.
Yeah, he has that it factor,
He does. He can do everything for the most part. He has the playmaking. He has the scoring. Yeah, and he's 6'6". Like he's a tall. He's a lengthy guard. Like Yeah, I think I would take him in that matchup as well. But then you get down into the cat territory, and that's where the Knicks should be able to take advantage in that
Yeah,
matchup, right?
I
They
was.
should.
Yeah.
They should.
Yeah, I was also thinking like to maybe this can be like a redeem series for our boy Tobias, man. Obviously he struggled against the Knicks
You
last
caught
year.
me off guard with that.
Last year, he struggled with your Sixers against the Knicks. So he was having donuts out there. My guy was getting paid 39 million and having donuts out there, But I'm violating because I said I wasn't gonna mention his name anymore. And
I'm
he was
trying to
like,
remember who he was being guarded by. I want to say
uh,
OG, but OG did spend time on Embiid at
Embiid.
times
Yeah, I
too.
think it was it Hart? Josh Hart?
Was it Hart strapping his ass up? He wasn't even getting strapped, man. He just disappears into the corner. That was the
Yeah,
thing
like
with Philly. I don't know, but
yeah, maybe Tobias have redeemed.
I
Maybe he
would
get
like
a
to
get
see
back.
Detroit knock the Knicks out. I'd be all for it for that, man.
Detroit basketball.
Yeah, the Detroit Pistons are a fun team this postseason.
Mhm.
They've got nothing to lose. If they get knocked out first round, it's still a successful season for them. So
Yeah.
I think they will be fun. That's a great call out. I like that matchup as well, man. But I'll go number 3. It's with a matchup you already pointed out, and it's Houston and Minnesota. So I stuck with Minnesota from that
Mhm.
LA series, but went back to Houston. It's the it's just the shit talking. It's Gobert versus a guy
Yeah.
like Dylan Brooks and Fred Van Vliet. And
Yeah.
like you just know that shit's gonna be talked in it. And Edwards, I mean, Julius Rand, like there might be fists thrown. I don't know. But it
Yeah.
would be a hell of a show. And I think that now that I talk about it and you think about the characters on the Rockets, they're gonna have a fun series versus anybody. It could be the Grizzlies. Like, and it's gonna be
Yeah.
fun watching Ja and those boys go at it. So yeah, I went with Houston versus Minnesota. So I do agree with you there.
Yeah. So that was your third one,
3.
right?
That was my
So
third. Yeah.
okay. So I gave you two. So for me, I'm not gonna lie. The East, that was pretty much it. The Western Conference is just all the entertainment is over here. With all due respect.
Yeah, I
But
agree.
yeah, let's keep the topic on Houston, man. My Warriors against the Rockies. I mean, we just played them this Sunday, and things got chippy. It was a interesting matchup. Obviously some history between Dylan Brooks and my Warriors. So in a 7-game series, that would do wonders. And Ime Udoka is still salty that we beat his Celtics in the finals a few years ago, and it shows because of what he did this past Sunday. Just being petty or whatever. But that would be a good series, though, for sure.
Yeah, no, I do agree. I'm actually upset I don't have that in my top 5, quite honestly, because I do think that is a great matchup. It just speaks to the Western Conference because I'm sticking there with my last 2 picks as well.
Yeah.
For
You
me,
can't
number
go wrong,
2.
though. Can't go
For me,
wrong.
number 2. I'm sticking with your Warriors.
Hmm.
I'm going with Denver, though. We talked about it a lot on this show. As
Hmm.
much as I think Jokic is a mismatch, a nightmare, it's still Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, and company. They have a lot of guys over on that Warriors side that can get the job done. I do think it would be a hell of a series, and I do think this makeup of the Denver Nuggets. Yes, Jokic is playing at an ungodly level. You guys could beat them. And it's not to say they can't beat y'all, but you guys can beat them. And I do think this is a series, barring injuries or anything like that. I do think it could go 7 games, even in the first round. So, yeah, that's my number 2 favorite matchup I'd like to see, man.
Yeah, that's a good one, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. But like I said, you can't go wrong, man. It's just so many teams out here. But
The whole
for
Western
me,
Conference.
coming in number 2, man. Once again, my Warriors against the Lakers. Uh,
Okay.
what I would say, we owe them boys, man. They put us at the playoffs a few years ago in 6 games, so we got to get our get back for sure. And it's always entertaining when Steph go against LeBron. It's just pure hoops, competitiveness. It's just always fun to see that. So yeah, man, that's who I got. And then obviously, we got Jimmy, they got Luca. So this should be a fun series for sure. And definitely I think the last time we played the Lakers, it broke records like the series, like the viewership, like the numbers that was being brought in, like it broke records that year. So we potentially get matched up against them again. I'm pretty sure we'll probably do that. So
Yeah,
yeah, the Warriors and the Lakers are the number three, man. No,
yeah.
two.
That's funny because that's my number one. The Warriors and the Lakers. I think that would be like best for basketball in a sense, right? Like Steph
Mhm.
Curry versus LeBron, like obviously two of the goats. And then obviously you have the star power. You already mentioned everything there, but I do think that would just be kind of like a legendary matchup, especially for a first round matchup. To get those greats going at it in the first round. And right now, 3-6 is where you guys are placed. So you guys would play in the first round as of right now. Things could
Mhm.
change, obviously, with
Oh
one
yeah.
game tonight. So
Yes.
yeah,
Yes. Like
don't bank on that,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
it could happen for sure.
Yeah.
Man, it is interesting to think about, man, when you think about these matchups. Who's your number one though?
Number one, man. This would be a fun matchup, and it would be beneficial for me because I could actually go there and see the games. And that is the Warriors versus the Grizzlies, man. Like it is some history between us. Like being in the atmosphere, bro. That fans hate Draymond, bro. Like the way they boo him, the things they call him, it is just crazy. And then like it's been a fun series playing them in the regular season. It's just been fun matchups against them. You know,
Yeah.
Zach Eden, Draymond getting into it, Ja shooting his blicky over to our bench and stuff. So it's a little, just a little something there. But that's on the road with the number one, man. That'll definitely be a fun matchup.
No, I do agree. I do agree that is fun across the board. And like we've talked about, man, you would get as of right now, Memphis versus OKC. They're the 8 seed right now, but that's still like a solid matchup, right? You would still get Ja versus SGA. So I do think for the whole Western Conference, you could go through these matchups and pick ones you like. But no, solid list, man. You made me kind of rethink some of mine that I picked. So I think you have a pretty solid list there, man. Anything you're looking at over the next few days? Anything else we're paying attention to? Or do we just want to save everything for the next show? Should we just save the rest for
Man,
later this week?
all my attention is on this Western Conference standings, bro. Like we won't know like the final stands until the last day of the season. It's just how tight it
Yeah,
is. So, and it's crazy because maybe for the first time in a long time, the teams play their star players on the last day of the season. Like, because most teams will rest their star players, but due to the seedings, you know, situation or whatever, they actually might play their star players. I know we should try to win every game from here on out because I don't trust us in the play-in. Like I'm going to keep saying this. It has happened. We've been in the play-in tournament. Two different years,
yeah.
and yeah, I'm just not confident in us in the play-in tournament. So we need to solidify ourselves
You don't think
as
you
a
could beat the
player.
Kings?
Once again, my confidence ain't high, bro.
It's one
The,
game. I
yeah,
feel
that's
you.
what
I
I'm
do.
saying.
I
Like
feel you. It's one game.
The Kings was the team that put us out last year.
Yeah, I
Obviously it's a
know.
different team, no faults, but still though.
Still, they
So
got Levine. They got DeRozan.
yeah,
like they got
yeah,
some
they beat
guys.
the Pistons last night. They them guys performed out there, so they got some scores over there for sure.
Get
And
the AD revenge game
that would be crazy. But
with Dallas.
Klay Thompson too,
Yeah, that's facts though.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
stay out of the play-in, bro. I
yeah,
agree. That's dangerous.
just solidify yourself as a playing team. I mean, playoff team, and yeah, man, that's it. And one last thing for D-Rap, bro. Worry about your Lakers, dog. Like at the end of the day, y'all don't want to see us in no playoff matchup, my brother. And hey, you know what's up.
No, D-Rab is right here. If you're the 7 seed, you would have to lose twice to basically get kicked out of the postseason. So the
Yeah,
T-Wolves, I believe, they would have to lose to. I always get this confused, man. I always get
yeah.
this confused.
So the 7th and 8th, right? Whoever win between that matchup, the 7th and 8th
Gets
seed
to 7,
gets the 7th seed, and whoever loses plays the winner of the ninth and the 10th seed.
9
So
and 10.
and then that would
Okay.
be the 8th seed, whoever wins. So basically, who like honestly, if you were like the 7 or the 8 seed, you had like a second opportunity to redeem yourself. So
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. Right now, you could drop all the way to the 8, so it could be one and done.
I'm
If
not
you play
confident,
around
man.
too much here.
I'm not feeling it, bro. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, I see where he was going. Suns money line tonight. I see where that came from. Y'all play the Suns tonight. So y'all got the Suns, Spurs, Trailblazers. So those should be 2 W's.
Clippers.
Spurs and Trailblazers for sure. Suns should be a W.
Yeah, it better be a W. No Kevin Durant.
No Kevin Durant too. It's in Phoenix, but still. And then you got Clippers to what in the season?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like that game there, I think we play everybody, and that the Clippers play everybody, and it's going to be like a playoff type of game because that game matters, for seeding purposes. So which
They
is
play the
interesting to my point.
Rockets. They play the Rockets, Kings, and Warriors, and the Spurs to end the season. So yeah, the Clippers. That is, excuse me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but yeah, that could be a seeding game come Sunday.
Yeah, and it matters, bro. It really do.
Yeah, so we'll take this week, man. We'll regroup later this week, and we'll see how things are looking. Maybe things change over the next 2 or 3 days, and we can take another look at the seeding and make some final predictions as we really approach the postseason here, man. But anything else before we get out of here, Slim? I know we're on the time crunch for you, but we're right under the hour.
Yeah, we good, man. That's pretty much it, man. Can't complain. Like you said, we'll link up and do this again. Make sure you guys follow our TikTok page as well, NBA to the Galaxy Pod.
Yeah.
We've been posting like shorts, to kind of recap the different topics we've been discussing or whatnot. So make sure you guys tap in on there as well as the YouTube channel, man. Subscribe to the channel, turn notifications on. Make sure you engage with us like my brother D-Rab been doing, talking crap about his Lakers or whatever. But we appreciate the the interaction with our fans, man. It's greatly appreciated. And yeah, man, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, no, I agree with everything you said. It looks like there's over 50 people in here watching right now. Whether you're on X, on YouTube, head over to the YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button for NBA to the Galaxy podcast. We appreciate any and all viewers. And like Slim said, get involved in the comments. We can take the show wherever you guys want to go. But that's going to be it for this episode of NBA to the Galaxy podcast. Have a great rest of your night, everybody.
Peace.
Peace.